Morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo First here. Yeshiva Nafshi, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, getting ready for Shavuos. Now, just days away, this Motzi Shabbos, and we're learning here in our Shir Mishna Berura, our second shir for the day. In Hilchos Pesach, we have the din of the halacha of Havdalah on Motzi Yom Tov. The whole sif. And there's two sifrim actually in Taf Tzadi Aleph, Seder Havdalah b'Motzi Yom Tov. Have it there? Good. Yaakov, would you like to read a bit?
Sure. That's from where?
From the Mechaber in the very beginning in Aleph.
To Motzi?
Yes.
The Motzi Yom Tov, then the Motzi Yom Tov l'chol, then Motzi Yom Tov l'chol, then Motzi Yom Tov l'chulo.
L'chol shel moed. Yeah.
So, and on Motzi Yom Tov, whether it's Motzi Yom Tov that falls out on
like a weekday.
L'chol.
Weekday. Yeah, bain, meaning when you have a bain, and when you have a series of bains, of two bains, bain zeh, or bain zeh, it's whether this, whether that. That's usually how the translation goes.
Or whether it falls out on Chol Moed. So that would be like after the first day of the first Yom Tov.
First day of Pesach, first day of Sukkot.
You're right.
Right, so that's because you're going from Yom Tov to Chol Moed.
Right.
So that only occurs with Shabbos and with Pesach and Sukkot, right? So as Shavuos would be usually there's no Chol Moed, so you go from Yom Tov to Chol.
And also the last day.
Yeah,
right?
the last days of Yom Tov, of Sukkot and Pesach is walking through.
Magdil Mitzvah Kamo b'Motzei Shabbos. We say the Havdalah like statements in davening. However, but we do not bless lo ala ner, lo ala b'samim. We don't bless on the candle or on the spices.
Very good. Okay, let's see the Mishna Berura here. That is Sif Katan Aleph. El she'eno, meaning we make the Ma'avir b'Motzi, the Tvila Kamo b'Motzi Shabbos, right? El she'eno mevorach lo ala ner, we all of a sudden. You don't, when you have Havdalah, actual ceremony of Havdalah, you don't make a brach on there nor on the sun. Why should that be? Mishna Berura explains.
Chisaron hanikar yesh kan. So we shorten, I guess. Chisaron.
Chisaron hanikar yesh kan. Meaning, I think that meaning.
Look at
Look back at the Mechaber. He's explaining something about the way the Shulchan Aruch was written here. It says b'Motzi Yom Tov, bein b'Motzi Yom Tov l'choyol, from going from Yom Tov to Chol, bein Motzi Yom Tov l'chol moed, you're going from the Yom Tov to Chol moed. Ma'avdil b'tfila, kamo b'Motzi Shabbos. So he's talking about being ma'avdil in Shmona Esrei, right? Ela she'eno mivurach ala ner ro b'samim. That has to do not with your. You're not in the middle of your Shmona Esrei planning to take a candle or planning to smell b'samim. That's obviously talking about the ceremony of Havdalah, not the prayer that we add into our Shmona Esrei for Havdalah. Right, so that's what it means. Kesur and Hanikah. There's an obvious gap here. There's an obvious gap here. And between the gap between the Mechaber speaking about prayer, tefillah, and then automatically jumping to the ner and b'samim, which has to do with the actual ceremony of Havdalah. There's a gap in the Shulchan Aruch. Meaning, Chesor and Hanikar Yeshkan. There's an obvious gap here.
Nikar means gap.
No, Chisaron is gap.
Chesor is gap or lack or void, right? And Nikar is something which is obvious, apparent. It's actually quite a nice phrase, actually. Chesor and Nikar Yeshkan.
V'kodem zeh tzarich lomar. And before this, something needs to be said.
Meaning, it should have been said. Meaning, to make it flow correctly, it should have been said as follows. Like he's like quoting, he's like adding these words into the Shulchan Aruch. He would say, and he said, meaning he would really should Yemavdil b'tfila k'yom mo b'motzi Shabbos, u'mavdil on a kois k'mo motzi Shabbos, and Yemavdil on a cup like you do on motzi Shabbos. Ella, and now what the Mechaber did in fact actually write.
He's amending the text.
He's saying what really should be. There's something was left out. Why it was left out, that's another story. I'm not sure why, but something obviously was left out.
But all he's sticking in really is the cup.
Right, because he's just trying to do. If you wanted to write it more specifically, accurately, you would have written that now we're shifting our attention of the halacha to the Havdalah ala Kois, right? And that should also be as it is on Motzi Shabbos. However, you don't make the summim and you don't make the bracha there.
So the Kos is making it clear that it's not the Havdalah that's in the Shemona Esrei.
Exactly.
Right?
And that wasn't stated. That wasn't stated openly in the Shulchan Aruch. It was written with the understanding that you would realize that on your own.
Because you never have a candle in the Shemona Esrei.
No, obviously.
So you don't need to say the Kos.
Right.
It would be obvious anyway.
Yeah. But so he's still dealing with why, why wasn't it written more accurately? The Torah, it should have been written accurately. Why did we, maybe, what are you going to say, there was a shortage of ink that day?
Wasn't that a general principle that we always try to be as terse as possible?
True, right, but usually when it comes to Shulchan Aruch, usually you explain the things that have to be explained. That's the whole point of the Shulchan Aruch. You want to lay things down straight and clear. Okay.
But Mavdil b'tefillah refers to Shemona Esrei, right?
Yes,
okay.
exactly. Right.
Okay.
And then there's an immediate shift to Hamavdil al Kois, but there was no hint of that there was such a change here. It was an abrupt change.
Right. Okay. So now back to...
It's like when you're writing paragraphs, you always want to have connecting words within paragraph. Have to carry the train of thought, at least it's best to do that. So here it's like, just jump to something completely, one minute you're talking about standing in shul with your sitter and saying Shemona Esrei, and the next second you're talking about air and the sun. There's nothing to do. Okay, we came Matzasi.
וכן מצאתי בשולחן ערוך הראשון, I find in the first Shulchan Aruch, that's the video, okay, שהדפיס המחבר בחייו, that the מחבר, I'm not sure what הדפיס means.
It means printed in the meaning. It says, וכן מצאתי בשולחן ערוך הראשון שהדפיס HaMechaber B'chayev, and so I found in the Shulchan Aruch, the first Shulchan Aruch that was printed by the Mechaber, by the author of Yosef Kari in his own lifetime. I mean, it had those words there in the original Shulchan Aruch. In the original Shulchan Aruch, it had those words. Those words were there. Right? That says, "V'kein mitzati b'Shulchan Aruch harishon shehitfis b'Mechaber B'chayev." That was in fact, how I found in the original, the first edition of the Shulchan Aruch that was printed by the Mechaber in his own lifetime.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Just stepping back. I'm rereading the original statement by the Mechaber.
Right.
And Yaakov said that Mavdil b'tefillah means the Havdalah that we do in the Shemona Esrei.
Yes.
So this seems to be saying, back to Mishna Berura, he seems to be saying that it's not in tefillah, it's the Havdalah, which is why he says we should have a kos.
Right.
So is he contradicting this Mavdil b'tefillah?
No, there are two things. The first thing he had mentioned in the Shulchan Aruch was the Havdalah that takes place in tefillah. And now the Mechaber is shifting to the Havdalah which is taking place with a kos of wine after the davening.
So where does the Mechaber shift when he says she'ino?
No, Ella. The Ella is a shift.
Oh, Ella. Ella. Okay, I see. Thank you.
Misha התחיל לאכול במוצאי פסח ובעוד יום הלילה. Someone who begins to eat on Motzei Pesach while it's still day
I don't know.
until night. Okay. ועדיין לא התפלל בהבדל, and he still has not, I guess, said Havdalah or davened. I think this is saying Havdalah. I think at this point.
Why isn't it Shemona Esrei, since it says
No.
Hillel, isn't that
No,
prayer?
he's talking about Shemona Esrei.
He is talking about Shemona Esrei.
Right, at this point.
At this point, okay.
Yeah. And with that, because really, Shemona Esrei in almost all cases is going to take place before Havdalah on HaKodesh in general.
Right.
What does eating have to do with?
No. Okay, because he's
He
Okay.
extended the Hag by continuing his meal.
yeah, well, let's say, Misha Hitila Okel b'Motzi Pesach. If Motzi Pesach, right, Neboy Yom, meaning he had started, let's say, sunset is at 6 o'clock here. He started to eat a meal at 5:30. And he's continuing his meal. And he has not prayed Ma'ariv yet, nor has he made Havdalah, right? And now let's say it's like 8 o'clock. He hasn't done Ma'ariv yet. He hasn't said Havdalah, right? And you know what? His son's knocked on the door and says, "Hey, just got fresh made pizza." Wow, great, right? So,
Still Pesach for me.
so then look at the Mishna Berura says not that way,
Not like I just said.
not like you just said.
Really?
Yeah. Take a look.
Mutar le'achal chametz.
It's mutar lo eat chametz.
There it is.
You can eat. Do you see it there,
I
Boris?
see it. It's, I don't get it. I thought the whole point is.
Yeah, let's leave show us Shabbat where it is. It's in
Here,
Sif.
here.
Cut now.
My finger.
I'm sure he has the same paging as you.
Yeah. He's got it, yeah. Hooray, Mishubach. Isn't there a statement that, I don't remember exactly, but that it's a good thing to extend Shabbos?
Sure, he is. He hasn't.
He's extending
He
it,
hasn't.
so-
Yeah, he is. He's still having.
But how can he, it's Pesach. How can he eat Shabbos?
He hasn't davened Ma'ariv. He hasn't said Havdalah. It's still Pesach for him.
Right?
The pizzas come in, right? Fresh pizza just came out of the store. Suns came on. It's 2 hours after Shkia.
Totally confused.
Okay, let's see what we can find out about this. Why he says it's mutar lo chametz, it's permissible to eat chametz, since it's become dark. Meaning, let's say it has to be at least seitzer kachavim. Can't be during Ben Ishmashis. That's a suffix is the Raisa.
Right.
Ben Ishmashis. So it has to be obviously a sheikha is reference to nightfall, right? Havi laila komi. Once it's Mashecha, right? Once it's Mashecha, once it becomes seitzer kachavim, the stars have come out. Havi laila komi. It's nighttime in all respects.
You know what my wife would say?
Yeah, go ahead.
She'd say, how can he eat pizza? He's got all the Pesach dishes on the table.
Yeah, true. Now, okay, that's another story.
Happy Lila.
Alright, so it's how we really it's night in for all respects. Yeah, go ahead.
אלא שחכמים אסרו במלאכה עד שיבדיל, but the sages forbade labor until Havdalah is made.
So that's the answer. Meaning, until he makes Havdalah, midurabanan, until he makes Havdalah, he can't do malacha.
Eating pizza is not malacha.
No. Let's say it's Motzei Yom Kippur also. Now there's a separate.
But eating is not malacha.
There's another problem here. You're not supposed to eat before Havdalah.
Right, but if you're extending, that's my whole
That's right.
point.
You're extending your meal. Drop Yom Kippur. It's not shy for Yom Kippur because he's not eating. But here, he started eating b'boy Yom. you started eating. It's a minhag to have, even on Yom Tov, you don't have shlosh sudas, you only have 2 sudas on Yom Tov Achron Shel Pesach, because of the chavivus of matzah. There is a minhag to have like a shalosh sudas, a 3rd suda on Yom Tov, the month of Achron of Pesach.
Yeah, there's even a special name for it, something Chag.
Yeah. Nilas Achad.
Yeah.
Nilas Achad.
Yeah.
Nilas Achad.
And everybody would bring their leftovers.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We used to do that every year in America.
Sure, Nilas Achad. And so therefore you started, like we said, 6 o'clock is sunset, you started 5:30. 100%, you washed, you had a full-fledged meal, straight on through, right? Straight on through.
You're singing songs.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
doing
No
all kinds of stuff.
Ma'ariv, no Havdalah.
It goes
right?
on for a couple of hours.
Right, and then,
Louder than usual.
right, and then someone comes in, and says, got pizza. As long as it's not flacics, go for it.
The rabbi says this, and you see, this is why we have paper plates right now.
Yeah. Right? So, because the whole point is, you can't do malacha before you did Havdalah, right? That's Medura B'anim, you can't do malacha.
But so Deraisa, Yom Tov or Shabbos ended at the time.
That's Seitzah Chachamim, that's
Seitzah.
at nightfall.
No matter whether you're eating or not.
That's
And
right.
this whole idea of extending and prolonging the Shabbos or the Yom Tov is rabbinic.
Yeah, meaning that you can't do malacha until you have said Havdalah or made Havdalah. You're supposed to, if you're not going to, if it's before Ma'ariv and before you're making Havdalah, you're supposed to say Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh, called very common for women. They want to, maybe they don't daven Ma'ariv, and they want to get busy doing certain work after Shabbos or Yom Tov. So you should have, before they do any work, they should say Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh L'Chol.
But we have our understanding is that you have to finish the meal before you can say Baruch HaMavdal.
Oh, so that's another problem. You're right, because if I had this come up once, the question is as follows. Let's say you're in the middle of any Motzei Shabbos, you're still having your Shalosh Shudas. Your Shalosh Shudas is extending after sunset into Shkia, into Bein Hashmashos, maybe you would say Sefer Chavim, and you have to do malacha, but you haven't benched yet. Let's say some people have a generator. The generator turns off at the time, so now it's dark, and you want to bench with light. If you say Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh L'Chol, right, there's a machlokas, and I believe the halacha is you can't say Ritzei anymore. How can you say Ritzei? You said Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh L'Chol. You can say, if you want to extend your suit all the way till 1 o'clock in the morning, you can still say Ritzei. As long as you haven't davened Ma'ariv, said Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh L'Chol.
But you can say Baruch HaMavdal.
You can say
even though you
Baruch.
haven't benched.
Well, then if you shouldn't, because then you're going to lose saying Ritzei.
But that's the only reason.
That's I mean, maybe there's overreason. Maybe there's, maybe you got a call. You have a car, and a woman has to go give birth in the hospital. So it's you have to say Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh L'Chol. Okay, so Ritzei is going to go down.
Right.
There's a bit of a discussion whether it does or not, but I think the Psak Halacha is that you lose Ritzei. So you say Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh L'Chol. Right? You could like let's say let's say you want to continue your suda, but you want to have a hot tea. You want to boil some water to have hot tea. So it's now like let's say sunset 6 o'clock. It's now 7:30. Well, after it's 8 o'clock, but you're still having your suda, and you say, instead of benching right now, before let's have some hot tea for the dessert. So before you can do that, you have to say Baruch HaMavdal.
Your wife can say it because she's not going to daven Ma'ariv anyway.
Right. See, they don't usually generate if they're not davening Ma'ariv.
She's not losing Ritzei.
Right. Well, if she's benching, she will lose Ritzei.
Oh, in the benching.
Yeah, in the benching.
Right.
She's going to lose Ritzei in the benching.
Right.
By the way, when you're going from Shabbos to Yom Tov, you don't say, as we saw, you don't say Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh L'Chol. You say Baruch HaMavdal B'Kodesh L'Kodesh. And if a woman's going to be at home, or a man's going to be want to do something like let's say this coming Motzei Shabbos. Let's say your Ma'ariv is at 8 o'clock. Right? You're not supposed to daven early on Shabbos. But with Shabbos, it's not such a problem. Normally, you should delay davening Ma'ariv on Ma'ariv for Shabbos. But since it's Motzei Shabbos, you're not going to be davening too early anyway. But suffice to say that let's say you want to, let's say your Ma'ariv is 8 o'clock, and then so let's say by 7:30 you finish your Shabbos Shudas, and you want to before you go, you want to take a pot, take it out of the refrigerator, put it on the stove, right? Put it on the stove. They have to have the fires all prepared and ready to go. Whatever you do that, that's another question, right? But you can put it on the stove, right, and to start cooking away. And that way you come home, an hour later from Ma'ariv, it'll be chicken, beef stew will be all cooked, ready to go. Right? So you should say, Baruch Hamavda ben Kodesh LeKodesh. And put it on. Not Baruch Hamavda ben Kodesh LeKol, Baruch Hamavda ben Kodesh LeKodesh. I'm not sure what the halach is. Let's say a person made a mistake and said Baruch Hamavda ben Kodesh LeKol. I imagine it works. But I'm not sure. It's like overkill. Because you're going from Kodesh to Kodesh, so if you're going Kodesh to Kodesh, you've like overdone it in the statement. So I imagine it works, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen the halacha inside. It's probably discussed. So whether a woman there or a man in certain circumstances is going to do some malacha this Motzei Shabbos before he goes to daven Ma'ariv, before he's made Havdalah, obviously, because he's not going to make Havdalah until he comes home and makes Kiddush. I was going yesterday, Yaknaz, so he should say, Baruch Hamavda ben Kodesh LeKodesh.
I wonder if the statement is effective from Baruch Hamavdil. And whatever you say after that is almost...
Could be.
Not so relevant.
Could be. Not sure. If I have a chance, I'll look into it. Not sure. So therefore you can't do malacha according to the Rabbanan because of the Tekana al pi Chazal. But eating chametz, which is not a malacha, on Motzei Pesach, if it's after Tzeitzei Chachavim, so you can go ahead and eat the chametz, even though you have not said Havdalah and nor have you davened Ma'ariv.
So now you can say Yalo Yavo on pizza on Pesach.
Yeah, it's a riddle. Right? It's really not Pesach because it's Laila L'Kol Dover. That's what the rice. It's Laila L'Kol Dover. Once they say you're coming, it's Laila L'Kol Dover, right? Laila L'Kol Dover.
The rice.
Right. So just about maybe also going back to Yom Kippur, you could put on your shoes, and then you could put on your shoes without having to say Baruch Hamavda ben Kodesh LeKol. It's not a malacha. It's like eating chametz on Pesach,
Right.
on Motzei Pesach, right? Putting on your shoes. You want to put on shoes. Just you want to put on your shoes.
Is that preparing for the next day?
Well, if it's we're talking when it's after Shkia, it's after Tzeitzei Chachavim. So the Mishna says it's Laila L'Kol Dover. You can eat chametz. Interesting. I never realized it. Before it's Mishna Berura. The person it was Yom Tov Achar until Pesach. He started eating Bod Yom. Right? And his Mamshech Suda, right? Hashecha, he can eat chametz. He wasn't ma'avdil. He didn't daven Ma'ariv. He can eat chametz.
Yeah. You don't need Havdalah to eat chametz.
No, because the Mishna says it's Laila L'Kol Dover. Once it's Hashecha, it's Laila L'Kol Dover. Ela the Amnan. Because they're the Rebbanan, they don't do malacha.
But it's only malacha.
Malacha.
Right. For 1 second. But we were talking before, what's the shaila, does the... I heard some, I know it was here, it was somebody else. So, it's only malach. It's not that the yom is considered, this is not Tosefis This is not a Tosefes because there's such a musik as Tosefes b'shnei tzadim.
Okay, so
But
you
this is not
have,
ca-
you have,
but
you
this is
already
not
have.
but this is not called Tosefes. This is not called. So what's the whole reason? You know, there's a minig gra that you make havdalah on beer.
Right.
What's the reason? Now, if you'll tell me that you're out on beer until you made havdalah, then I can understand it. But if you tell me that you could have had beer, you know, after it says. So what's
Well, isn't that when it's still the 3 weeks? And you can't have the wine?
No, he's talking about
No, I'm talking about. Isn't it? I mean, you have to watch about. You know, you have to have this worked out so that you're not over on that you didn't own the beer during Pesach. I'm not getting involved with that right now. You had John the Goy bring you a bottle of beer after it says.
You stop off. I remember when before you could leave put $5 in your cubby in shul, and then once a yom tov, you go get the car. You go and stop by the Goyish grocery store and pick up a beer. You don't even have to tell me. You just pick up. You're walking home. You daven and you take $5 out of your cubby, and you go to this grocery and pick up a beer. You walk home with the beer.
Yeah, I mean, I remember doing it once I remember doing it one year. We walked to Sheikh Shah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it these days. I don't know, but that was, you know.
But no, it's a chiddush. But you know, he says here. Misha matchil la'ochel b'motzi Pesach in bod yom ad halayla v'dayin lo l'spal v'avdal u'matchil mutar la'ochel chometz v'kevin shachashecha ahavi layla l'chol mili.
This is the Mishna Berura. There's not Shulchan Aruch. This is Mishna Berura. B'shem me or is
This is
you quoting somebody?
Magen Avraham B'shar Achronim.
B'sharma? Oh,
B'shar
B'shar.
Achronim.
Whatever.
Yeah. He says there's the first Rishon. Anan ima dayin lo beret because a Muslim bevadai ein lo lo'okol chometz. The Havi Yitztorach Lomer Yala Yavoy Mishum Das Linin Basar Heals a Suda. So you have
What are you saying? Yes, you're saying?
No, he's saying if you haven't benched yet by eating chametz, right? Right? You shouldn't eat chametz because he has to say Yala Yavoy. You go after the Tchilas Hasuda, right? So how's that there? And that's a Tarta Desastre. Says it's a Tarta Desastre.
So that's what I asked before.
The Tarta Desastre.
Because it's a Tarta Desastre to say Yom Chag HaMatzos.
And on chametz that I've eaten.
He's poskening
pizza.
He's poskening tequilas. Well, take a look at Hilchos Rosh Chodesh, what I was talking about yesterday. You know, because if here he's poskening, we go after Techilas Suda. That's not the way in which we were discussing Rosh Chodesh. That was the suffix of Rosh Chodesh.
Right.
In other words, we're talking. You understand? Going from Shabbos to Rosh Chodesh. If you're eating the whole time, the shaila is if you say Ritzei because of the beginning of the Suda, or Yalav Yav because of the end of the Suda, or you look upon that as being a Tarta Desastre. And
what's that mean?
Two things which contradict each other. In other words, if it's it's like saying if it's Saturday, it's not Sunday. If it's Sunday, it's not Saturday. It's like if you'll tell me you go after both the beginning of the Suda and the end of Suda, then it's no longer Tarta Desastre.
So there's another problem here. If you benched, then really you're not supposed to eat before Havdalah. There's another takana involved.
Right.
One second, I'll drink water, but that's
water. But we're talking about chametz.
Yeah.
Pizza.
You dipped the pizza in the water. I mean, you wouldn't want to, I'm saying, I'm not joking. You wouldn't want to drink the water in Pesach, but somebody came in right after it says and dipped his pizza in the water that you're about to drink after Havdalah, and you wouldn't want to mitzvah Pesach. You would avoid it.
This is amazing. I've never searched such an amazing Mishna Berura.
Yeah.
I will have to work on this a bit more.
I hear.
It needs a lot of
Well,
work.
part of it is you have to take a look at the corresponding sugyas because sometimes.
Sure.
It's getting-
Otherwise, I have to go home and my wife asks me, "What did you learn today?" And I'll say, "The rabbi taught me that you can eat pizza on Pesach."
Look, you have eight
On
months.
Pesach.
No
On
more.
Pesach.
You're not going to that shiur
Well,
anymore.
the shaila is if it's Tosefes Pesach, then you can't. That's the
Right.
problem.
He's asking is Lila L'Kol Mili.
That's the Talmud. That's the Talmud. And I would have thought that's called Tosefes Pesach. You know?
But only rabbinically.
That's a question whether Tosefes, if Tosefes Yom Kippur. Now Tosefes is learned from Psukim going on Yom Kippur, the beginning of Yom Kippur. The Rambam holds only going Yom Kippur, but other Rishonim holds going on Shabbos and Yom Tov also. And L'Chaira, I understood it's going on the end, not just the beginning. But that, you know, that
Right. But
I
still,
mean, I seem to
still
remember.
right.
I seem to remember Shiloh's.
Well, the
But
Havdalah
we're
with the
talk-
Rambam
look-
is the Raisa, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Pashas we're talking to Diraisa, unless you want to say the Yom Kippur is Diraisa and other things are Dirabanan. But that's, you know, in others, because we're talking, that's going in the pasuk of Meir Avad Erev on Yom Kippur. In other words, you're learning that you start Yom Kippur with Bo Yom, and that's.
Yeah, Uncle Panim needs work done. We have 8 months to work it out, Mitzvah.
Baruch Hashem.
Well, okay, we'll work it.
We're gonna need
Fine.
every-
You're gonna need those 8
every month
months.
of those.
All right, very good. We'll continue the next year if Rabbi Levitt doesn't come shortly.